welcome to the Not a Lonely Coffee Break podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Meaghan. We're a podcast about coffee and work. Make it queer.
So, Meaghan,
Yes.
first things first,
I'm so
happy
excited.
Podcastiversary.
Happy Podcastiversary.
Yeah, who would have thought? I know we bragged about ourselves last episode, but this is officially the 1 year mark of being on air.
Near on air. Cheers. Good grief.
Let me cheers.
Cheers to that 1 year.
Yay, Podcastiversary.
Maybe I should have put something a little stiffer in my drink today for the celebration, but
yes, and speaking of celebrating, again, we want to invite everyone to celebrate with us at JR's on June 25th from 6 to 7:30. Just after work, swing by, have a drink with us. If you don't drink, still swing by, chill with us for a little bit. We are just going to be celebrating with our listeners, our friends, our families, and we would love to see you come out and join us.
it'll be fun. And we're so exciting people to be around.
I know. We think we are, at least. We like each other.
Why wouldn't you want to be there? You know, Maddie, I think what would be fun, let's just do a couple questions for our 1 year anniversary. Since we are kind of our own little business, and we always ask this to other, our guests that own businesses. What was your biggest challenge this year in keeping our relationship strong? Podcast to ship. I don't know. Podcast ship.
What was our maybe our biggest challenge as a show?
Yeah.
I think this is my perspective. You might have a different answer. I do think that it has been at times, especially when we're both in busier seasons, it has been challenging, I think, to stay consistent and making sure we get an episode out.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, we've handled that challenge. But I do know there are some weeks where we're really like, oh my gosh, we have to find a small window of time to do the episode.
No, I totally agree. I think it's something that we should all make peace with, is that sometimes we have our down days, right? Like, I call it like a creative block. You're like, oh, I'm doing so good and I can think of all these things. And then sometimes you just don't. And that's okay. So I really love that. We're going to toot our little horns and just say we did a pretty good job. And we released an episode every other week, y'all. So you're welcome.
Yeah, we've been consistent. And honestly, our episodes are, we've tried to hold true to sort of that time frame of, because we don't want to be like an hour-long show for people to listen to. We want it to be a quick listen for you guys. Yes, some of our episodes have been a little longer than others, but just because they're so fabulous. But yeah, I think we've been consistent, even though behind the scenes there have been some challenges, I think, in getting it all put together in the time frame that we give ourselves.
Yeah. But good for us. And so, if there's anything y'all want to hear in the next year, we want to hear from y'all. We love hearing from you guys. We love seeing your comments and your, if you have some good things to say. Hopefully nothing's bad, but things happen. But no, just let us know what you guys want to hear, or if you have any ideas of maybe some people you'd like to hear from in the community that you would like us on the show. We'd be happy to get them in. So let's see. Next question. Let's look ahead.
Yes.
What is your dream for the next year?
I guess, do you want to go first?
My dream for the next year is to make people laugh. Honestly, I really would love letters from the community. I love hearing from y'all, and just, we do want to hear y'all's stories. We do want to hear what you guys are feeling.
Meaghan.
What?
Y'all, Meaghan and I didn't even chat about this, and we totally just had the same thought. I was literally sitting here thinking, I want to be able to hear more from our audience.
Yeah, I want to connect. I like connecting. That's my little selfish thing, is I do like to connect and talk talk about myself, but also talk about you. No, I want to hear from y'all. That's my dream. My dream is to connect more with our listeners. I think that you said it better than I could. I was digressing a bit. I think that just underlines like why we're here as a podcast, is that we're here to support the community and just talk about things that may be uncomfortable, and highlight some of the fantastic things that our queer community is doing every single day. So that's my dream.
No, for sure. But I also, yes, I want to be able to highlight those positive stories because we need all of that out there. But I also want to hear from people who are facing challenges, who feel comfortable, even if it's just sending us an email saying, I don't want my name shared or anything, but here's something I'm dealing with. So that way we can bring it to the community and try to get that person some support, whatever that looks like, whether it's advice, tips, resources, whatever that is. We really do just want to be a supportive listening ear to anyone who might feel lonely on their coffee breaks.
Yeah, you're not lonely with us.
No.
And you need coffee.
Yeah.
So
I think the other thing I was thinking in terms of what I would love to see happen, and it goes hand in hand with we want to hear more from you guys, but I also would like us to just continue to see more listeners. We want to grow our community just as a show, as a little coffee break community. So I think that's kind of a hope I have for the next year, is just seeing more listeners join.
wow. Yeah, I have to say thank you to everybody. And the next coming up episodes, we're going to be bringing in some good organizations and so forth. But I just want to say thank you. Yeah, we are nothing without our listeners. So
No, that's so true. And I think, Meaghan, we started this show in sort of a response to our own healing journey of dealing with crappiness in the workplace. And so I think that we really couldn't have done it without the support that we've received from those people that we have met along the way, whether that's a guest or a listener. But like, you all have played such an important part in just Meaghan and I and our own personal journey. Because healing, it's ongoing, right? We're always growing, we're always learning, we're always healing from past trauma. And so I really do think that, yes, we started this platform where Meaghan and I talk about what we want to talk about, but having the support that you guys have given us, I think, has been just the cherry on top of everything. And hearing stories just that we hear when we are out in the community of people saying, oh my gosh, we need this. Oh my gosh, I went through something similar. I think it just continues to motivate us to keep going. Like, we still have stuff to talk about.
yeah, there's always something. There's always something.
Okay, but for real, Meaghan, I do have a hot take.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so I was chatting with a friend recently who will remain anonymous. This person is part of the queer community as well as an ally to groups that, they're not a part of. And we were just chatting about the workplace because they were sharing some information about where they work in terms of like jobs that were available, because they know that I am looking for odd jobs here and there. And so they also know sort of my history and my experience a little bit with bosses. And so they were sharing with me, they were like, well, we are hiring 2 positions in this one department. It's not my department, but they were like, in this one department, there where the supervisor is like really awesome. I wish that they were still my supervisor. They were fantastic, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But then they said, but I should warn you that, and they proceed to tell me that this person, they kind of give me some demographics that the person belongs to, which is an older generation. And then this is my language, not their language, but some of the things that they were describing to me, some might associate as like small microaggressions related to pronouns in your email or how you dress in the workplace, things like that. It kind of led me to believe that they weren't necessarily against DEI. They just didn't, maybe they just aren't on board with drawing attention to things. I don't know. That was kind of my vibe. But this person then proceeded to be like, but they're an amazing boss. And like, there are times where they gaslight you, but they also would gaslight in your favor. Like
Okay.
if someone else came after you, they would be like, that just doesn't sound like something they would do. I just don't see them doing that. So on one hand, it's like, yeah, definitely. Who doesn't love someone who will gaslight in their favor?
Okay.
But I don't know. It just got me kind of reflecting on some things.
Mhm.
And I guess the question would be that we're also going to put out as a poll on social media to get y'all's opinion on this is, can someone be a good boss slash supervisor slash manager while also perhaps saying problematic things?
Or
I guess is the question.
microaggressions.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess it depends on the person, for me, but like
Mhm.
after a while, especially if that stuff's important to you, it just becomes exhausting. It's like for me, it's something that nags and nags. And after a while, I am the type of person to just kind of be like, we need to talk.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, that's because there's a lot of like people who are rolling back, right, on a lot of the
Right.
pledges and things that they
Mhm.
made, I would say a couple years
This
ago.
seems, yeah, this in this situation, it wasn't necessary. It's like this person's stance. Like
Okay.
whether or not the organization has a policy,
Oh.
this particular person is like, I don't get it.
Mhm.
I don't give two craps. Do your job and whatever. Kind of
Right.
about it was the vibe I got from this
Yeah.
conversation.
I guess it just determines how red do you want your flags, you know? Like, are they a little pink?
Yeah.
Are there different shades of red?
Mhm.
Yeah. It makes me a little uneasy,
Mhm.
honestly.
Mhm.
But that's my opinion,
Yeah.
because if it were me in that leader's position, that's something I would like consciously am like making sure that I'm using statements that are my own, not talking for
Mhm.
others, not trying to pretend like I know what's going on in a situation, like things like that, because that it snowballs after a while, I think, in my opinion. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, we'd like to hear what you guys have to say. I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
know
And
what.
I do think it's a very sort of like personal, like it's going to vary from person to person. Cause like this
Mhm.
person that was telling me about it is someone that I've known for a couple of years. I respect them professionally. They are in a position of leadership now, and I've seen kind of how they run their team, and it's wonderful. And so it was kind of interesting to hear them say that they felt like this person was one of the best bosses they had,
Hmm.
even though they sometimes had behavior that was
Questionable.
questionable regarding gender, sexuality,
Yeah.
and things like that. So it was interesting because I was kind of like, yeah, I wouldn't be okay with that.
Yeah. Just depends where your
So
lines are drawn. So yeah,
yeah.
let's hear what the crowd has to say, our friends out there.
Yeah. So head on over to one of our social media platforms and let us know in a comment, take the poll. Let us know your thoughts about whether or not someone can be a good boss and also perhaps say some problematic things. Maybe share like what your limit would be because I think everyone does kind of have a limit.
Yeah. I think
So let
that
us know.
that brings me to, some things I saw just scrolling. I think it may have been touched the news, but it is Pride Month, so happy Pride, everybody.
Mhm.
'Tis the season for we'll see if the corporate parties turn their icons, or their logos rainbow.
I've seen some. Yeah.
Some are still doing it. Some are rolling back. There's, and there's been like a lot of waves, a lot of up and down in the last few years. But I think I had seen that they had taken a poll with CEOs that a lot of them are just like, we're just not going to do it this year out of
Mhm.
fear of
Mhm.
repercussions from the market or
Yeah.
from Trump's administration.
Yeah.
because of the DEI rollbacks and like, hey, we're going to be investigating companies and people and,
or if they receive any kind of federal
funding.
funding, yeah, there's that fear of we're going to lose that funding. So we
Yeah.
have to keep our doors open.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen the same thing that you have.
It really kind of just brings the idea, like which large companies, which businesses are acknowledging Pride Month and hopefully acknowledging like the atmosphere and the environment surrounding it. Cause, it's stressful. It's stressful. We've talked about this before. It's stressful for those in the queer community that if you're just like constantly thinking about it, you're constantly seeing in the news, it's going to disrupt your workflow, right? It's going to disrupt your mental health. So I'll be honestly, I like to keep tabs and see who's out there, who's a queer friendly business, who I'm buying from. And I'm trying to shop more local and, what that looks like. Cause if you follow the money does matter.
No, for sure. Well, I think too, and I've seen this talked about a little bit on social media because I'm active on TikTok.
Let's hear your update.
And I've seen some people talking about this, but then I also am like, oh yeah, that I feel like that was me. So I saw this creator recently kind of talking about how they used to, maybe it wasn't even on TikTok. Now that I'm saying it, I feel like it might have even been on LinkedIn. Someone on social media, on one of the platforms.
We'll find the links, y'all.
I will find it.
Our sources are a bit muggy today.
But no, they were talking about how they used to sort of, and DR described it in our last episode as queer fatigue.
Right.
And they kind of were overwhelmed and sort of exhausted by seeing literally everyone use a rainbow logo only during the month of June. And I resonate with that because I'm very much like, this is just corporatized. Like,
Yeah.
you're not actually doing anything that tells me you're pro queer community or whatever. You're just doing it for market, right?
Right.
So, but then they were saying, like, I wish now I had a time machine and I could go back and see my feed flooded with rainbow logos because the silence is so loud. But I had like another thought was, let's use this as an opportunity to see what organizations really do care about the community, right? Because those are going to be the rainbow logos that we see this year, at least.
Or who are participating in the marches and the parades and
the people who are sponsoring the Pride events. Because I've also seen that some of the bigger Pride events have had like corporations, big companies pull out of sponsorships for fear of retaliation or whatever. So I'm kind of using it kind of like you to let's gauge the market. Who's legit because they have a rainbow logo this year. Or they participate in a Pride celebration. And yeah, there's still some corporatized sort of Pride things where they're really not reading the room.
Yeah.
Quote unquote. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Target.
They seem to not read the room across all things. They did that a lot with Black American products as well. Black-led businesses, a lot of like brands that are made with just Black-owned companies too. I heard that they were pulling them off the shelves, and there was like that huge push of like, it's just time to boycott at this time. Like if you feel, because they rule a lot of how we purchase and the convenience of purchasing. And there are a lot of small businesses out there that need our support and stuff. So, if it's important and you want to make a difference, I mean, you choosing not to spend. And if we do that in large numbers, it really gets their attention.
And the numbers actually have showed that it was a mistake for Target's.
Yeah.
People, the numbers are showing like their sales have dropped, their foot traffic dropped.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. We do not shop there anymore.
Yeah.
Do I still have clothing that I previously purchased from them? Yes.
I'm not going to throw away my clothes, y'all.
But yeah, I'm just not purchasing anything new from them. But yeah, their Pride line was very problematic this year.
Yeah.
And they better not be at Pride.
We'll see. We could just go and protest them at the Pride events. That, speaking of, we will be at Pride this year on the 14th.
I'm so
Y'all,
excited.
it's our first year tabling. We will be at the Dallas one, and then that evening, I don't know about you, Maddie, but I'll be going to the Arlington Pride as well. It's gonna be
Fun. It's a full
busy.
day for you then.
Yeah, I'm gonna be tired. Yeah, so it's gonna be a big day. So please come and visit us. We'll have goodies and all the fun things. There's so many different Pride events going on. I am happy to see a lot of city sponsored Pride events throughout the Metroplex. So that's
Yeah.
that on, if we can't count on the corporate, if we can at least count on city support,
Yeah.
local businesses, that's really makes us happy.
McKinney Pride hit the ground running. They kicked off the month with theirs, and I didn't go just because I had something else going on, but I did see some people that did go, and it looked like it was a pretty good turnout. So shout out McKinney and all of the individuals who participated in McKinney Pride.
Yeah, it's gonna be a full, and I think that, like you were saying, the queer fatigue, just choose where you want to go, get your friends. I think it's a good time to celebrate. I mean, me personally, I love a good party. Don't I mean, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. The point is, you invite me to something, I'm probably gonna go party. But, Pride is fun, and it's an exciting time to just go out and just let it loose and be queer and just celebrate with the queer community and just be with your friends and like-minded people in a large area is just stimulating for me.
Well, I think, and I'm seeing a lot of stuff saying this, so this is not unique to me, but it just really resonates with me every time I see it. Is like pride now it's kind of our form of resistance, right? It's us saying we're still here.
Mm-hmm.
Like just because you had a tantrum and wrote some law pretending like we don't exist doesn't mean that we just disappear. Like we're
Right.
still here and we're going to resist your dictatorship.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, there was at the beginning of the year, I'm not going to lie, like there were just question marks in my mind. Like, are people going to host Pride this year?
Yeah.
Is it going to be, and I think everyone's showing up makes me feel really good. So everyone stay safe. I think I would like to repost it on our Instagram, but some ways that you can stay safe at the prides, ways of standing up for each other and stay hydrated,
Oh my gosh,
please.
yes.
I think
Please.
that's the big one. But no,
Please.
because you will see protests. If I know I'm actually going to be going with a friend that's never been to Pride. She is in the queer community, but it's just, I think, having friends to go with her and, to celebrate and stuff. So I'm really excited for that. But it's like also that scary thing, like what to expect. And large crowds do not make people comfortable, can be scary. So have your buddy system, always have a plan, to stay safe, what it looks like to leave, plan on how you're getting there, how you're leaving, don't just try and jump in there. And I think you'll have a better time that way. So hopefully reposting some of that stuff, also reposting some of the events going on within the city or
Yeah, because
Metroplex, really.
there's a lot going on. So in terms of us, y'all, we will be at Pride in Dallas. We'll be Saturday. We will have a table. So you can come check us out, come hang out with us. We will be there all day. And then this is new. We also will be in the parade.
Yeah, we
So
are partnering with Comerica, did invite us to walk with them. Thanks to our friends at Comerica for partnering with us. They're actually partnering with a lot of different smaller organizations and they invited us. So that's super cool.
yeah, so we're really excited. And yes, shout out to Comerica for inviting us. So we will be there in the parade. We'll have some goodies we'll be giving out Saturday or Sunday whenever you see us, or both. So make sure that you are following us because chances are high there will be some lives that we do over the weekend and just celebrate with our community.
So a shout out to my friend, one of my coworkers doing a Strange Loop live production in Fort Worth. I wanted to give her a shout out. Strange Loop is premiering June 19th through July 12th at the Circle Theater in Fort Worth. It is a story that is queer. It's talking about the Black experience. Go support our theater friends, our artists out and see A Strange Loop in Fort Worth. July 19th is premiere. I think they also said for those who are across the African diaspora, so our Black community, African American community, here they are doing free tickets on Juneteenth. So if you want to go
Ooh.
to the premiere that day, they are doing free tickets. So please go out, support them. I'm super excited and we'll probably stop by as well.
Awesome. Yes, so shout out to Megan's friend and another friend. And we have permission to share these sort of happenings in the community. So if you ever have something going on that you would like us to plug, feel free to send that to us. A friend, Ryan Kennedy, some of you may know him around the community. He is a local counselor, mental health professional who just does a lot of presentations and just support, overall support. But he is the keynote speaker for NAMI North Texas and their Pride event this year, which will be on June 21st from 5 to 8 p.m. It is out in Denton. So we'll make sure to share that link. It is free to attend. And I do think they're also looking for, if you are part of an organization that might be looking for maybe a more affordable sponsorship somewhere, I do think they are still looking for some event sponsors, but it is free just to attend. But he is presenting a keynote session titled The Cost of Life Unlived: How Closets Promised Safety but Delivered Shame. And he'll be sharing a little bit about his own personal journey as a queer individual. And so he shared that with us and said that he would love to see the community come out and support this fantastic event. So we'll make sure to post these things on our Instagram and our stories so that way you can click on them and learn more information if you would like to attend any of those events. But we are out of coffee.
Sad. I guess
You
it
just
all.
said like,
I know. Well, the 1 year comes to a close, but the second year, I mean, it's an even number. I personally like odd prime numbers. I don't know. It's just, but to year number 2.
to year number 2. We are out of coffee, so that means we do have to wrap up. But if you're not already, make sure you are following us on social media. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Threads. You can also find us on Patreon. That is back up, Megan, to answer your question. That is what I want to do for the next year. We got to get more content out for our
Patreon.
Patreon
We need more number 1
listeners.
fans.
We need more number 1 fans. Shout out to Brad.
Our number 1 Patreon fan. He's our patron.
But no, we really do hope to get more Patreon exclusive content for you guys in year 2. So make sure you subscribe and become a patron. And then, of course, you can find the show wherever you listen to your podcast. So YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or something else. I do know we have a first subscriber to Overcast.
Welcome.
If you're listening to us on Overcast. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to wherever you follow us so you never miss an episode. And then, of course, share it with your friends.
We love friends.
But yes, thanks again for a great episode of Not a Lonely Coffee Break. Again, we are your host. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Megan.
And
cheers, queer.